Live.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. If this is your first time with me, my name is Keely and I am the owner of LoveHopeAdventure.com. I blog about the marriage relationship, intimacy of marriage, and how you can go deeper in your relationship with your spouse. And today I have two really awesome guests with me. I've got Lori and Paul. They are marriage bloggers. They blog at thegenerouswife.com. Guys, be sure to put the dashes in there. The-generous-wife, because the generous wife is not a good site. And then the same thing for the generous husband, the-generous-husband. And then tell us about your other blogs, because I always forget what they are.
TheMarriageBed.com is how we started out. That's not a blog, that's a website. You can probably guess what that talks about. We talk about sexuality. And then we're currently traveling by RV, and so we have thegenerousjourney.com, where we talk about our
I don't know about that one either.
My husband also writes the xycode.com, where he talks to women about men. He's trying to explain the mystery of men.
And you're going to explain women to...
No.
Okay.
No.
The mystery of men, is that easier to figure out than the mystery of women?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Why?
Because we're a whole lot simpler. We have one hormone, not four, and it doesn't do this.
There's two modes, right? Hey, I'm gonna throw in there real quick, guys that are watching. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them in here. This is Austin, Keely's husband, and I am shooting the video and can relay questions. So if you want to hear about anything in particular, let us know and I'll pass it on.
So tell us, what are you guys doing in the RV?
Basically, we're traveling and meeting people who follow our blogs, other bloggers. We do speak in homes and churches, and we're going to even speak in a park later this week. We just talk about how you can build your marriage.
Okay, so if I have any viewers in some of the areas that you're going to, can you tell us some of the places that you're going to be so maybe they can catch up with you?
We will be in Raleigh Friday. If you want to see where we are, thegenerousjourney.com. There's no dashes in that, just to make life confusing. We'll be in Raleigh at a park. We've got information on that. And then we will be in Lynchburg in a couple of weeks. We're speaking in Lynchburg. We'll be in Richmond for a while. We're speaking in Kalamazoo in about 3 weeks. I mean,
where is that?
Michigan. How can you not speak in Kalamazoo? Haven't you heard about Kalamazoo all your life?
I know. I didn't know it was real.
Isn't that place Bugs Bunny goes all the time?
Yeah, so we're gonna
I think I actually said that in dinner the other day, and my boys went, "What are you making up words for, Dad?"
Well, we're going to be there. We'll send
It's a real place, so if you live in Michigan.
Right. Yeah. So anyhow, the Generous Journey has a map, so check that out. It shows where we are.
You guys can go visit wherever they're speaking at with their churches and stuff, if you're in that area, of course.
Hey, if you want to fly in, that's your problem.
If you want to fly in, just feel free. Raleigh has an airport, so does Richmond.
They're totally worth it, guys.
Probably Kalamazoo. I don't know. So what is your biggest message when you go speak to people? What is the biggest message you're trying to convey to people?
I would say being intentional about growing your marriage. Good marriages don't just sort of happen by accident. You have to think about building your relationship, spending time together. I would say my biggest bit of information is please kill the busy monster in your life. And because if you don't have time to invest in your marriage, it's all over. So,
and I would say marriage rocks, or at least it's supposed to. Yeah. If it doesn't, go to her blog site, go to our blog site, go to somebody else's, read a book, do something, figure out how to make your marriage great. It can be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were speaking to maybe a woman who is struggling in her sex life right now, what would you say to her? Like, she's just struggling, she doesn't know what to do, she's like, oh, I wish I could be more adventurous, but what does that even mean?
So many different reasons. I mean, is she uptight? Is her husband unloving? They have no clue how to even talk about sex.
Sexual wounds, emotional kind of wounds, that kind of thing. I would say become a sleuth and try and figure out why you're struggling. There are a lot of really good resources. The forgivenwife.com, or maybe just forgivenwife.com is an excellent resource. Hot, Holy, and Humorous.com. Also, there are a number of really good blogs, and you'll have links on her site, that kind of thing. Because basically it becomes a battle in the mind between truth and lies, and learning what God says about sexuality and beginning to adopt those truths instead of buying all the lies.
And there are so many good resources. That's actually how we got into this, because when we got married way, way long ago, 31 years, The church didn't talk about these things. Apparently, the church didn't have sex until 2000. That's what I've learned. And so there was no
We
one
don't
to
know
help.
how we're all
Just
here.
spontaneous generation.
The stork gave it up, and we all had to learn how to
Care.
have sex. So, yeah, there's such great resources out there now. So it's so much easier than it used to be.
Okay, Paul, what would you say to a woman, because I have people say this to me, who has a husband who does not really want to have sex with her?
That is increasingly common. It's probably 30% of wives now are in those marriages. It's wild. It's why, and some of it is stress and tired, the same things that put women off sex.
Okay.
Probably porn is the biggest issue, and basically he's using porn and masturbation instead of going with his wife, and that could be because he's having problems, he's stressed and it's easier, he doesn't have the time. There's all these different reasons to figure out why that's his choice, or maybe he just came into it. So many boys now, unfortunately, by the time they get married, they've seen 1,000 hours of porn, and they don't know how to function with a woman. So it's not necessarily that, but it's probably more often than anything else.
So how do you break that to a woman to get her to investigate that for her husband?
If you want it to get better, you got to deal with it. You got to figure it out. It may be ugly. It may be simple. I mean, I get the guys, the guys my age. It's like, he stopped having sex. Well, he can't get erections anymore, so he's embarrassed and he'd rather just ignore it.
Sure.
So you then say, okay, but there are ways to deal with this, and you work as a couple, and then it's very easy to fix that. So sometimes it's not that big a deal. But if she wants that to change and he's not doing anything, she's going to have to be the one to initiate it.
Have the hard discussions.
And that is hard because I do have breeders that come to me and say, I would love to be more sexually involved with my spouse, but my spouse is not adventurous in bed,
Right.
or they don't really want to. And I kind of don't know what to say to that personally, because
I think also baby steps are a really good thing. And don't ask too much of somebody right off the bat. Just say, what one little thing can we try?
what one thing? It's very hard. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys get a lot of readers that are hurt and stuff. So what is like the biggest hurt that you see coming in your area from readers and people you speak to? Is there like a commonality?
There's a lot of shame and all the things surrounding that. Body image is huge for women.
Oh yeah.
And
I talk about body image all the time.
And the men say, what's the big deal? I think she's beautiful. I tell her that, and she says, no, I'm not. And she argues with me, and it's a fight, and that's not what they want. It's a female problem. Most men think their wife is absolutely beautiful. The biggest problem is they can't see enough of her.
Sure.
And it's a vicious cycle there too, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Where she doesn't think she's attractive, so she doesn't show herself. He doesn't see her, and it just kind of keeps on going. Yeah, that's one of the things that Keely and I both have tried to push with our audience is that, trust me, he thinks you're a knockout. He thinks you're amazing. So just I told somebody the other day, fake it till you make it. Just assume that he's telling you the truth until you start to believe it.
Right.
And
I would say also sort of building a common world. You leave your family of origin, you cleave to your spouse, and you create something together. Spend time together, play together, work together, build a kind of a common language. Even though you speak the same language, often words mean different things. And again, that's where the busy monster plays in. You have to be intentional and make time to build this world that you share together.
It's really hard. I think that I am seeing with this body image issue, I am seeing some of my commenters coming to me and saying my spouse does not find me attractive because they have told me I am fat. They have told me I need to lose the weight. They are refusing to have sex with me or whatever. And I struggle to know what to say to somebody like that because I don't really know their situation. I only hear their side. But there are a lot of wives that feel that way, whether the husband is genuinely communicating that or not. So how do you use that?
When I talk to guys, I find I do hear those guys. Yeah. They're an incredible minority of the population.
Okay.
So if he hasn't flat out said that in that many words, don't assume that's the case. For the ones who have, then you're dealing with an entirely different issue. Sometimes that's a deflection. He's using that, to avoid dealing with his problems or avoid you looking at him. And sometimes he's just selfish, and that's an entirely different issue. And that's not a sexual issue, unfortunately.
That's a
cuts across
relational
everything.
one. Yeah,
it's a relational issue.
And seriously, if you run into a problem that you cannot solve by yourself, I would pull in a third party, a counselor of some kind. and do shop around to find one that you're comfortable with. But they can be an amazing help just to have a third party to sit and talk and bounce things off, so it's not rattling around in your head. So.
And don't wait. Get help as fast as possible. Because we see people, it's like if you'd come a year ago, 2 years ago, this would have been easy. But it's been 6, 7 years, and it's the problems on the problems on the problems. You can't even find the original problem anymore. So get help soon.
So don't be scared to go out and get the help.
Right.
So what do you think is the biggest misunderstanding of sex that you see? Because I think I run a very different circle than what you guys do because you're out there with people a lot. What is the biggest misunderstanding people have about sex? Like, what are the biggest hang-ups of keeping them from getting intimate with each other?
If you're talking about the church, which is where we minister, you've got a lot of garbage that's come that way.
I would say a lot of good girls don't like sex. Sex is only for guys, that kind of thing.
And then the other side of the society, you get the porn. And so it's like, no, my body does not bend that way, or that hurts, or that doesn't feel good, or I have no desire to do that. So, and then if you're in the church, you've generally got both of those. You got the church on one side and the porn on the other, and it's just a mess.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of sexual wounding, especially for women, but some for guys too. And in a situation like that, I would definitely encourage counseling because the wounding goes deep.
So if somebody is struggling in their sex life, is it possible for them to have a healthy marriage if that part is not doing very well?
I think it's always going to pull it down. Okay. You can take steps to, my suggestion would be you need to improve your sex life, but you also need to maintain your marriage. So you have to work on both. You can't just, abandon the marriage and work on the sex life, so then the marriage goes to pot.
It's kind of like a three-legged stool. You need to work on all of them or it'll tip.
Right.
All areas.
So yes, you can have a functional marriage, but the longevity is a real issue. A couple struggles for sex 2, 3, 4 years, that's okay, especially if they're building during that time. Sure. After 10 years, one of them is done. It's like the marriage is dead. It's all they're now playing it out for the kids, and that's sad for everyone, for the kids.
Yeah, that is hard. Well, I guess before we go, is there anything that you guys specifically wish that the audience, listening would understand today? Like, about God's design of sex, or, I don't know, like the number one thing, you're like, if you don't remember anything else I said, remember this.
Well, she's already covered the business, and that's huge. Because
yes,
if you don't have time for each other, that's whether it's sexual or going out to the park for a date or any of the things, you have to have time together to build a relationship or a sex life.
Sure.
And that's the one we're seeing is killing people, is they just don't have the time together. You have to be intentional.
Is that, like you think, maybe a generational thing? Like, did your generation maybe deal with that?
It's gotten worse. Our generation was bad. Your generation is worse, and I'm scared for your kids.
Yeah, because of the busyness. I don't think we were all that busy growing up, personally.
Not like you are now, no.
I did.
You had good parents.
Yeah. I don't think I'm all that busy now.
Austin apparently does not agree.
I'm sorry. Did that come out loud? I'm sorry.
Other than that, I would say, especially for those in the church, to understand that God designed sex to be just an amazing gift to husband and wife, and to chase after that and receive that gift.
Well, that's all we have for you guys today, and I'm going to thank them for joining us. And if you want to catch the replay on YouTube, do that. You can follow my channel, Keely Reason, and I will put links to their web pages in there. Also, you can go to lovehopeadventure.com/periscope, and I will link to their websites there. But I do talk about them pretty often, and so you're likely going to see them. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you around between 11 and 12 tomorrow.